In this video, we will look at some of the 5 best gaming TVs on the market. Before we get started with our video, we have included links in the description, so make sure you check those out to see which one is in your budget range. Number 1, Samsung S90F OLED. If you don't want the Slim One Connect box, 165Hz, a matte coating, or you just want to spend less, consider the Samsung S90F LE. Like the Samsung S95F OLED, this model uses a QD OLED panel in most sizes, so you still get the same perfect black levels and similarly vibrant colors. You also get impressive HDR brightness, so HDR games are impactful. Unfortunately, it's not nearly as bright in SDR as the more expensive Samsung, and its glossy screen coating doesn't provide nearly the same level of reflection handling, so reflections are visible in a bright room. However, these aspects are still good enough that you can use the TV in a moderately lit room, and you aren't distracted by reflections. You also get the same wide viewing angle as the more expensive model, so it's great for wide seating arrangements. Despite not offering 165Hz support, you can still game in up to 4K at 144Hz with VRR on any of its 4 HDMI 2.1 ports. Number 2, LG B OLED. The LG B OLED is the best OLED TV for gaming in the mid-range category that we've tested. It's truly an awesome TV with only a few drawbacks compared to the more expensive Samsung S90F OLED. It has most of the same features as the Samsung, although this LG model doesn't support 144Hz and is dimmer in HDR. Overall, still, it's bright enough for highlights to stand out in HDR, and it overcomes glare in a moderately lit room. Like any OLED, you get inky blacks that are sure to impress. One advantage this OLED has over the QD OLEDs above is that blacks don't have a purple tint in a bright room, which is great if you regularly game with your lights on. Colors aren't as vivid as they are on the 2 Samsung QD OLEDs, but they still look vibrant and punchy enough to please most people. If you play couch co-op games with friends, this TV's wide viewing angle means anyone seated to the sides of the screen doesn't see a degraded image. So there's no fighting for the best seat in the house. This model isn't light on gaming features as its 4 HDMI 2.1 bandwidth ports offer up to 4K at 120 Hz gaming with VRR. It also has a nearly instantaneous response time and extremely low input lag. Unlike the Samsung models, this TV supports Dolby Vision for Xbox gamers who like to play in that specific HDR format. Overall, this TV is a great entry point into the OLED market. Number 3, TCL QM7K. If you can't afford an OLED or simply just don't want one, you can still get a solid gaming experience from a mini LED TV like the TCL QM7K. You don't get the same perfect black levels of an OLED, but this model has great local dimming, so blacks are very deep with only some minor haloing around highlights. Colors are punchy and highlights stand out well in HDR, so this TV provides excellent image quality in your favorite HDR games. This is a very bright TV with great reflection handling, so you can use it in a room with bright overhead lights without worrying about reflections on the screen. It has a relatively narrow viewing angle, which is fine if you have friends seated at a slight angle to the screen, but it's not wide enough to retain its image quality for more aggressive angles. It supports a ton of gaming features that will please console and PC gamers alike. It supports 4K at 144Hz and 1080p at 288Hz. So you have options when it comes to the resolution and refresh rate you want to game in. You don't get the same nearly instantaneous pixel transitions as the OLEDs above, but they're pretty quick for a mini LED model, so fast motion only has some minor trails of blur behind it. You enjoy a tear-free gaming experience thanks to its VRR support. Furthermore, the TV offers a snappy gaming experience thanks to its low input lag, especially at high refresh rates, so you're not at a disadvantage in PvP shooters. Number 4, TCL QM6K. If the TCL QM7K is a bit out of your price range, you don't lose a ton by going with the TCL QM6K instead. Blacks aren't as deep as they are on the more expensive model, but its contrast ratio is still good enough for bold blacks in a dark room. Colors look a bit muted compared to the QM7K, but they're still vibrant enough to please most gamers. The TV has good SDR brightness, so it overcomes glare from indirect sources like overhead lights. Unfortunately, the TV is a bit too dim in HDR for highlights to truly pop out, so HDR games look a bit underwhelming. Like the QM7K, its viewing angle is narrow, so you might want to look elsewhere if you have a large living room with seating off to the sides of the screen. Fortunately, the TV's gaming performance is almost on par with the more expensive TCL. Pixel transitions are almost as quick, input lag is low, and the TV supports VRR. It even supports 4K at 144 Hz and 1080p at 288 Hz on its two HDMI 2.1 ports. Number 5. TCL Q651G. If you don't have a lot of money to spend but still want to game in up to 120 Hz, the TCL Q651G is a decent choice. Unlike every other TV on this list, it doesn't have local dimming, so blacks look gray most of the time. It's dimmer than the TVs above as well, but it's just bright enough in SDR to fight glare in a moderately lit room. Unfortunately, it's too dim to provide an impactful HDR experience since highlights don't stand out like they should. The TV does display a wide range of colors, so even though they look a bit muted due to its low peak brightness, they don't look overly dull. The main thing that makes this model stand out in the sea of cheap LED models is that it supports up to 1440p at 120 Hz, which is great if you prefer higher frame rates over resolution. You even get VRR support throughout when gaming at 120 Hz, so you get a tear-free gaming experience. Input lag is low enough that gaming feels responsive, but its very slow pixel transitions mean fast motion is noticeably blurry. It's fine for slower titles, but anyone playing fast-paced competitive games will be disappointed by the lack of motion clarity. Still, if you don't have the cash needed for the models above, the Q651G is a good option.